talking about partnerships and growing. A little story. I think I told you a little earlier that I run a dental program at USC through Rotary. 2000, was it 19? Let's just say, when you get to be my age, you say last year, it means 5 years ago. We had a group going to Bocas del Toro, Panama for a dental clinic. And so when we do the dental clinics, we usually have about 100 volunteers, 10-to-1 ratio with professional dentists, 10 Rotarians, and then 80 interactors that are also dental students, ranging from first year, second year, third year. First years can register, second years can fill, third years can drill. I don't remember them, they all look the same to me, so I put them in different color outfits so I know what they're doing. So everybody's got different colored scrubs. Anyway, long story short, I go down a few days early to always help set up. I flew to Panama, got all happy with all my supplies, and I got an email. Mr. Bender, Los Angeles International Airport was just closed, and we don't know how long. So I was stuck in Panama. All my students were stuck at LAX. So I started a program called, anyway, I'm a PADI master diver. I've helped set reefs off of Thailand after the tsunami. I've been in passion for the underwater for many, many years. I started doing some diving, and I was noticing all the reefs were dying. Their lionfish had taken over. And it was just sad. From a person who's been diving since 1979, I've seen a huge difference in corals. So the next person, and I talk about how we all got to work together. So I've done some projects, but I'm also partnering with a lot of other organizations. And the next speaker, she's in charge of one of those organizations, and she's doing a great job. Her name is Dr. Shelby Thomas, and she'll be our next speaker.
Good morning, everybody. It's very bright. My name's Shelby Thomas. I'm with the Ocean Rescue Alliance International. We're a marine conservation and restoration nonprofit that builds artificial infrastructure to protect coastlines, aid in restoration of corals, oysters, and mangroves, and helps connect people back to the ocean through art. And so a little bit of my formal background. I'm a conservation geneticist. I finished my PhD at the University of Florida this past year, and have dedicated a lot of my career to scaling restoration throughout the US. A lot of my work's been based in Florida, but being a Florida native, I grew up in Daytona Beach, surfing and enjoying the ocean as part of my daily life, and really peace and home. And growing up in Florida, we have the third largest barrier reef in the world. Our coral reef ranges from the Keys all the way up to West Palm, and it's gorgeous. And throughout my life, I had always loved the ocean, but actually started my career in science with exploring the use of medicine and ocean together. And that eventually led to getting to dive and monitor our reef track. And at the end of 2014, we had a massive disease outbreak that spread like wildfire down the reef track called stony tissue loss disease. And overnight, we were seeing corals die that were hundreds of years old. This shifted my whole career and really made me realize the need and necessity of not just connecting and working with other groups, but how can we actually scale restoration and be very intentional with designs that can help protect these species, that also hold the key to helping humanity, not just future medicine, but every breath we take is a gift from the ocean. In fact, we only live on this planet because of the ocean itself. It helps control our climate, all of our weather, and supports billions of people's livelihoods and ecosystem services. At Ocean Rescue Alliance, we're dedicated to really helping shift the narrative. Throughout my scientific career, one of the biggest threats that I found facing humanity was our disconnection from nature, which is what led us to use art. Art's been used throughout history to tell stories about people and nature, and it's a powerful language that helps connect people. It's a way to storytell and bring in different cultural narratives that can help support connecting communities back to the ocean in creative ways, but also helping finance getting projects out and supporting the economy. So one of the unique factors that we do is build artificial reefs that also incorporate art to connect communities to the ocean, that also gets cities and counties and hotels involved with doing direct restoration. But the most exciting part of our work is designing infrastructure to mimic nature. So we believe in using technologies and tools to actually design and co-create to help scale nature-based solutions. We're losing reef infrastructure around the world, and what we have the opportunity to do with today's technology is to design reefs with intention, and that's being able to create different hand-casted and 3D printed reefs that mimic natural reef geology. So we build a concrete foundation for coral reefs that have micro and macro habitat, while incorporating restoration principles where we can simply screw in a coral like a bolt. We have patented technologies to help scale restoration, so you're not having to individually glue corals, oysters, or mangroves down to natural systems. And now we have interlocking technologies where even a 10-year-old could get engaged with restoration. These foundations help provide that skeletal framework and outplanting living corals, oysters, or mangroves to be able to scale restoration up the coastline in Florida, but also around the globe. We're facing huge coastal threats around not just climate change, but food insecurity and ecosystem collapse, and we need to use today's technology to be adaptive and strategic with intention to scale restoration. And we're looking forward to sharing more infrastructure with you guys. Please check out our site. Sorry, we don't have any images now, but looking forward to diving deeper with Steve on some of our work.
Thank you. So we both share the same passion. So coral reefs and underwater are my biggest thing. I'm the happiest I can be when I'm underwater doing some stuff. And we've done some things in Bocas that we want you to come with. One of the things that I want to focus more on, and we'll have a Rotary Reef and a Rotaract Reef program to talk about later today, but I want to talk about partnerships with other organizations that are doing similar but different programs. As I've said before, actually my brother tells me this all the time, we don't need more 501c3s, we need people talking together more and sharing information, our success stories and our failures. Coral reef, the coral reef problems, stony coral disease just popped up a few years ago. Now we've lost 93% of our reefs in the Caribbean. And incidentally, from a dental side, we've experimented, and amoxicillin in a caulk gun will stop stony coral disease on a brain coral. But as far as your organization goes, we are kind of lacking the education part and some of the other things. That's why I wanted to kind of get us together so we can develop programs. We can promote what you do good. We can share with you what we've done good and what we've done bad. So what is your biggest challenge right now with your organization? And also what makes you different?
Yeah. Well, I would say what makes us really different is really also executing with collaboration. You know, I'm a big believer rising tides raises all ships. So we work with any and everyone, and if you're not in oceans, we also want to work with you. We need people from different industries coming together. What makes us unique is this nonprofit was started between an engineer, an artist, and a scientist. And that all happened through an open mind. And we need to be welcoming to new ideas and innovation in different spaces within technology and marketing, and being able to pull in people with their own gifts to contribute to this problem. In terms of a lot of the collaborative work in education is critical, because also around the world there's different problems plaguing systems. So some of the information can be disjointed, but we need to work together in a unified effort on how can we actually sustainably scale restoration and bring our youth into engagement. We're really excited. We're launching a program with our snorkel reef this year called Live Blue, which is all about living blue and connecting to the ocean, but more importantly, creating accessibility. You'd be so shocked to realize all not just the kids, but community that live right on the beach in Florida near where I live. Spoke at a school in Riviera Beach with 130 kids. Guess how many of them had been in the ocean? Give me a number.
22.
7.
Wow.
15 minutes from the beach. And the ocean's incredibly healing and powerful, and that's so sad to know there's such an incredible resource that helps people, and we need kids involved with the ocean. So our goal is to really bring in education, work with groups like you all to get the youth involved, but also provide a resource where Now kids can come out and snorkel and get to do coral outplanting and be part of the solution and help create. This is their future. This is our collective planet that we have to take care of and steward.
That's fantastic. And you have, when I think of our discussions, I think about the artist side, because we're working on, the coral seed banks. That's what we do, is get the coral out of the water to save it. Then we're working on the Rotary Reefs. Actually have an integral part of, it's more or less helping the habitat, breeding fish areas, things like that. But you're bringing a new flair, I like, to it, the artist side. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so art's really the powerful tool for the bridge. I call it the bridge because it's a way to connect people to the ocean. Because I can talk about till I'm blue in the face about the importance of the ocean for saving humanity, but if people don't connect with it, they often don't care, right? So art creates a unique way to say, I could say I have the most beautiful coral reef in the world here, and not everyone might go in the water. From like, hey, we got a mermaid sculpture over here. It invites curiosity to connect and then experience. Now they're in the water with this mermaid sculpture, but they get to see the fish. They get to outplant the coral on the habitat reef. They get to see the habitat reef that has way more fish on it, right? And so it's a way to create an experience that creates connection, which ultimately I think is the most powerful thing about the art. And being able to advance different technologies. The habitat in today's climate, it's being adaptive. We can actually put corals in areas that are in better conditions to grow away from disease. So on the reef track, as you're mentioning, it spread like wildfire throughout the Caribbean. But actually the north part of the reef track, we're missing some foundational structure, so we can actually build that skeletal foundation, put corals in cooler water away from disease that they can thrive in this current climate. So it's being able to really assess and where can we be strategic and intentional with where we're putting our restoration efforts and working together to do it.
Okay. Learning, now that you're learning more about Rotary, if you had a magic wand, or if I was a genie coming out of a bottle, what would your, and I don't do 3 wishes, I only do 1.
Okay.
What would your one wish be how could Rotary help you in the future, knowing there's probably 80 Rotary clubs within 10 minutes of your project?
That would be it. It would be the network. It would be coming into the network with you guys to build reef resilience around the globe, not just in Florida. We definitely have a big feat to accomplish in Florida and wanting to scale at least 1 million corals in the next few years. We're just launching 2 coral labs to be able to help outplant on our artificial reefs, but we need this around the world. And this organization's been around for years, and you guys have done an incredible job with involving all ranges of community and demographics to engage with nature. And so my wish would be to get to work with you guys on that and bring more youth into our programs and expand our reef sites.
Great. One thing, I just did a West Coast tour. I did speaking engagements from Mexico to Vancouver Island and back. Every presentation, I talked about the Rotary Reefs and coral reefs. Everybody's blown away. One question that's always a frequently asked question is, what do you make your reefs out of? Isn't it bad that we're doing cement? So what do you do to overcome that question?
Yeah, good question. So a lot of our materials, we use a pH neutral concrete. I mean, corals are concrete too. They're calcium carbonate skeletons, and believe it or not, actually, a lot of concrete has a stronger PSI strength, so you can actually keep that reef relief and habitat longer than the coral skeleton bones. So I think of our bones, they're very porous. So we similarly use concrete. We use the CSA concrete instead of Portland, so it's more environmentally friendly. We also incorporate calcium carbonate and basalt fibers. So natural minerals actually help with coral recruitment, and it's pH neutral. So we're supportive of concrete. There's different material mixes that you can use.
Great, and yeah, it's like preaching to the choir, because we're doing some of the same things. HP approached me a few years ago. They want to do, we're actually doing 3D printed reefs in Asia from the Rotary Club of Patong Beach. And again, I was over there after the tsunami, so all the reefs got wiped out, so we started redoing that. One organization, this is a prime example of partnerships working together. So one organization that I'm going to keep coming back to from Bocas del Toro that we work with, it's called One Earth, One Ocean. And they're a company out of Germany. They do a lot of things with plastics, but also recycling. And we hate plastic, we love to recycle, but part of this program, we've also found that we're recycling glass. They don't have a glass recycling program. So the the One Earth, One Ocean representative in Panama, her name is Yana Kobel. She's also with an organization called Seas and Straws. She's walking around helping the girls somewhere. But this recycling program, they produce a lot of glass. So what we started doing was experimenting with crushed glass on our Rotary reefs and with the...
In cement?
Yeah, in cement. And it's actually something about the shape of them. Some marine life likes it better than the concrete. Several years at EarthX, I ran into Peter. He actually is an engineer with carbon sequestration and carbon, burying carbon. And so I proposed a challenge to him. Okay, we're trying to get carbon neutral on our reefs. Is there a way that we could actually take carbon out of the air and put it into reefs? Have you done anything on that or thought about that?
So extremely interested in, there's a lot of materials that are coming now out with research for sequestering carbon, and there's different ways to do it. There's injection based as they're making the mix, as well as having something that actually will really retain the gas as it's curing. It's something that I believe there needs to be more research, so there's nothing that I would say I scientifically support at the moment. I think it's great that there's so many material scientists that are looking into this, because we absolutely can achieve it. What we focus on is combining it with nature-based solutions. So when we're putting out artificial reefs, we also do the hybrid of planting living corals, oysters, or mangroves that meet those ecosystem services of helping the environment and really kind of giving that foundational kickstart for nature. And we're supportive of using nature-based solutions to address some of these carbon sequestration issues. Seagrass, mangroves, and kelp and different algae are excellent sources for blue carbon and sequestering more carbon actually than trees. Kelp can. It grows very fast.
Yes.
So the ocean's a great solution in being able to support these regenerative-based approaches. But we absolutely still need to be making advances on materials of where can we kind of get that carbon neutrality. So I think we're on the way there. I will say, we haven't found a partner yet that has successweugly done it. But there's a lot of research. University of Miami has a very robust study that they're doing currently.
And I'm kind of right with you. I know we're going to be able to do it. It's just everything I've seen, I'm not quite ready
I'm not convinced
to put
yet.
that into the ocean yet.
Yes.
So that's why I was asking you. Yeah. And it just reiterates the fact that we all have to work together and share our successes, our failures, and our challenges. And that's, I think, our next challenge. A lot of things we do is my manager in the Caribbean Coral Reef Restoration, he goes, good sign if things attached to it are growing and happy, it's probably a good product. If there's nothing growing on it, probably not. So we are out of time, but I want to challenge you, and I want to challenge everybody in this room. I'd like you to come back next year, and I'd like part of the segment to be how Rotarians in this room helped you in 25, 26. Okay?
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Let's do
Round
it.
of applause for Dr. Shelby. Thank you so much. You did great. Oh, okay.
We gotta make a reef.
Yeah.